This is from Mondoweiss. Jill Stein leads Kamala Harris among Muslim voters in swing states as Palestine supporters weigh choices amid Gaza genocide. A recent poll shows Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein beating Kamala Harris among Muslim voters in multiple swing states as pro-Palestinian voters weigh the upcoming U.S. presidential race.
Vote for Jill Stein.
Vote for Jill Stein.
Earlier this month, the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, or ADC, held its annual convention in Dearborn, Michigan. Participants say that the first and loudest standing ovation of the event occurred after author and activist Susan Abu Hala encouraged the crowd to vote for Green Party presidential candidate Dr. Jill Stein. I'm asking you to have enough self-respect to not go and vote for the Democratic Party.
Amen.
She told the crowd. Yeah, for
Amen.
real. You don't have only two choices, guys. It's not just red or blue. There's other options. The reaction to Susan's comments shouldn't be surprising to anyone who has followed polling on the issue. An August report put out by the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, showed Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Stein essentially tied among Muslim voters, with 29.4% of American Muslims saying they plan to vote for the vice president, 29.1% saying that they would vote for Stein. The polling surveyed over 1,000 Muslims between August 25th and August 27th after Harris accepted her party's nomination. In September, CAIR published a follow-up report specifically looking at Muslim voters in important swing states. Those polls showed Stein leading Harris in Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Candidates running for office cannot afford to overlook the issues that matter most to Muslim Americans, said CAIR Government Affairs Director Robert McCaw. In a statement, ignoring this community or taking their votes for granted could be a costly mistake, particularly in swing states.
That's why they're suing all the Greens off of swing states.
How are you going to sue Jill Stein?
They just sue the party off of the swing states because they're so for democracy.
Yeah, I mean, so for democracy, I mean, we all agreed that Kamala Harris should be the Democratic nominee. We all
decided that.
Yeah, we voted for it.
Yeah. Not at all.
No one asked us. Literally, no one asked us.
No one asked anyone. They're just like, it's her, I guess.
Yep. But just also remember, it's illegal in a lot of states to say anything bad about Israel. So just keep that in mind as well, because, you have freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech, unless you want to
tell the truth.
Criticize Israel.
Well,
then you're anti-Semitic automatically.
I acknowledge that there are people that are in Israel that are too terrified to stand up to their government and may not agree with what's happening.
If I was Israeli, I would move. If I couldn't move, I'd keep my mouth shut. Because everyone in my fucking country is a crazy-ass fascist.
And you want to keep your family safe. And you want to keep living. Because if you do say something, you're just going to get a bullet to the head.
Yeah.
So
you could drone your fucking house. They don't give a fuck. The IDF don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they'll just, put a grenade under our feet? I don't
I'll put a boot in your ass.
That's really
what American world.
Except we're a bunch of fucking pussies that ate in the bed of the genocide and aren't putting our boot in anyone's
bunch of fucking pussies that want to bomb children and grandmas. We're so big and strong.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Israel, for real, Netanyahu, just, your penis is small. Frustration over Harris's Gaza policy certainly isn't limited to Muslim voters, as thousands of Americans have protested the genocide in recent months. A YouGov poll commissioned by AGP Action in May found that in key swing states, roughly 1 in 5 are less likely to vote for President Biden based on Gaza. Biden is no longer the candidate, but Harris has made it clear that she will continue his policies in the region. A recent report from the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, ISPU, found that a majority of Muslim voters identify Gaza as their top issue. We found that Gaza unites Muslim voters like no issue has before, regardless of age, race, gender, nativity, or candidate preferences. ISPU Senior Research Project Manager Uram Ikramullah told Mondoweiss, overall, 61% of Muslim voters named the war in Gaza as one of their top 3 policy priorities. We're with you there, bro. We have not seen Muslims and Americans coalesce around an issue since we began polling in 2016. In previous years, domestic issues like the economy and healthcare topped the list. I mean, it's not very complicated. There's an active genocide that we're actively paying for. Then, of course, your voters are going to be like, dude, stop killing babies. Like, what are you doing?
Stop killing babies. Why is it so hard? Just to not kill babies.
Because
it's like the easiest thing to do. Just don't kill babies.
Because after Israel completes their mission, then we will assist them with cleaning up and establishing new new homes and businesses that will also be, I'm sure there's a Trump Tower that's going to be there, some high-rise apartments.
It's going to take 15 years just to clear the rubble.
Not if you have as much humanitarian aid as they'll receive from the United States. We'll probably send a bunch of troops over to help them clear the whole fucking thing out. Not just us, the other countries.
Time sharing Gaza, right by the sea.
Yeah, because that's what I want to do, is go somewhere where I will get killed. Woohoo!
Motherfuckers, stolen land.
We say that while we literally live on stolen land.
Yeah, that's true.
But you would think that the years that U.S. has been committing and acting and abating in genocide, they'd realize that that is something that unifies the people. Nobody wants to see a genocide. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Your Democratic base doesn't want to see it.
And it's not a matter of do it behind our backs like you used to. It's a matter of just fucking stop doing it. Just stop.
Stop sending weapons. Stop sending money. Sanction Israel. Arrest Netanyahu.
Any other country, we would do it. Any other country, we would send people in there to destabilize the whole fucking thing and assassinate.
Regime change time.
Yes.
They had the Muslim vote in the bag until this shit happened. And I was like, no. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, why would they even care about Muslim votes? That's the whole thing.
Because they're going to lose Michigan. They're going to lose Wisconsin. They're going to lose key Midwest Rust Belt states.
But it's what brown people want. So,
it's the left's fault.
It's not the left's fault. It's the Democratic Party's fault. And they are not left. They're diet right. That's all they are. They're just one little, here's your right base where that starts, and they're just one tiny little hospital.
Dude, it's like the ratchet effect has happened for so long. It's just fuck, they can't go any further. It's we gotta start pulling it back towards the left, obviously.
Yeah, now we need to give back Roe v. Wade and allow people to get the abortions, but not make it an actual federal policy.
Abortion's gotta be in the show.
It's one of the big things, too. That's one of the other big things that get people is the abortion policies. Because people want to know that they can safely go to a doctor if they have an ectopic pregnancy. Once they decide that they aren't able to have a baby, they aren't set up to have a baby, they make that decision. There's some health concerns. They want to know that they can go to a doctor and get help and not just sit there on the bed and die in front of everyone while they just stand around scratching their fucking ball sack saying, oh, we can't take it out. We can't help you. Not yet. It's an abortion if we help you. I don't get it. I know it's back from abortion, but that one girl in Georgia that passed away who had a kid, who now has left a child without a mother just because the doctors were too afraid to help her remove a dead fetus from her womb.
Ever since you're a young person as an American, it's drilled in your head that freedom is everything. And that freedom is why our nation exists. And then you realize, oh, I can't control what goes on inside of my body. I can't put things into my body that I want to put in my body.
I can't say the things or judge the people.
I can't criticize or say things that I want to say. We're not actually free at all. It's an illusion.
Because when it comes down to it, all they have to do is dingle a dollar in front of you.
Yeah, you just privatize all of it. Put the carrot at the end of the stick, and the free market will provide. I'll tell you, as a lower class, poorer American, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the
trickle down effect.
I feel a lot of violence and austerity, to be honest with you.
So anger and depression. I'm sad because I really didn't think it could be so hard just to get so simple of help. Just so simple. It's just simple.
Basic shit.
I just need.
In America, it's hard just to get basic shit. You work just for your basic needs. Who the fuck wants to do that? Who the fuck wants to slave 40 hours a week just to have the things you need? That's the
in
the 50s and 60s. That wasn't the fucking case.
Oh, you could have a house and multiple cars and only one person working. It's gone. They ruined it. They ruined the economy. They established the credit score, which was just a fucking another way to control us and beat us down and make sure that poor people can't ever get ahead.
You just want to fuck poor people.
Pretty much.
You want to exploit us for your wealth, and you throw us away as soon as you don't need us. Economic freedom? You call this economic freedom? This is economic anarchy. The rich just get to fuck us whatever the way they fucking like. That's America. Whoever you work for is your fucking tyrant. Is your fucking daddy. And you better kiss or you starve. That's your fucking choice.
Because don't forget, you represent the company while you're not actively at the company working. So when you're out at a barbecue, when you're out fishing, when you're driving your car, you still represent the company that you work for. Ergo, if you make any decisions on your off time for yourself, they can make the right to fire you, including some businesses, which I work for, have also made it to where you cannot criticize Israel or you will get fired. How is that freedom? How is that freedom?
It's not.
I've been
We are
paying
still slaves.
for almost 3 months and I can't even just get some basic ass help. Just basic ass help. One hospital tells me there's nothing wrong with me. The next ER says you have a nodule on your lung. And then you try to make an appointment so you can find out what this is wrong with you, what's going on with your lungs. Both of your parental grandparents had fucking lung cancer. But you know what? I get my appointment canceled. My test canceled. Where's my free? What am I supposed to fucking do, dude? I am actually literally at a bit of a loss at the moment with all that kind of stuff because I really just feel like I'm running in circles and just no one's
going to help us. They don't care.
So my choice is either
this is austerity.
Keep pushing to find out what's wrong, or
it's
just go back
violence.
to work and be in pain and possibly cause more damage. What?
It's fucking violence.
I don't want to give my life up for work.
The level of expertise in these doctors or in small towns is fucking violence on the working class. The fucking services and the shitty people and the fucking government and how they don't give a fuck is violence on the working class. The fucking economy, the fucking grocery prices, the fucking toilet paper prices is fucking violence on the working class. The gas prices, the oil prices, fucking violence!
Slave wages. Most people have to work multiple jobs, not just 40 hours, just to make ends meet. We found that 2 policies related to Gaza would earn votes of Muslims across the political spectrum. Support for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and support for reduction of military aid to Israel, she added. Our poll reveals that many voters who supported Biden in 2020 shifted their support away from him before he withdrew from the race due to a strong backing of Israel's military actions in Gaza. In fact, 89% of Muslim voters in swing states said a permanent ceasefire in Gaza would make them more likely to vote for a candidate. Since President Joe Biden dropped out of the race in July, there's been an ongoing discussion about whether a Harris presidency would differ from Biden's on Gaza. According to Harris herself, it would not. So, let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal in Israel's right to defend itself, and that's not going to change, Harris told CNN's Dana Bash in an August interview. When pressed on whether she might halt weapons shipment to Israel over its conduct in Gaza, she said no. During the presidential debate, Harris aggressively pushed back on GOP candidate Donald Trump's assertion that she hates Israel. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people, Harris assured viewers. The policy section of Harris's campaign website also makes it very clear that she will maintain Biden's policy. Vice President Harris will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to protect United States forces and interests from Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups, it reads. Vice President Harris will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and she will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself. She and President Biden are working to end the war in Gaza, such that Israel is secure, hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination. She and President Biden are working around the clock to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And they've been saying that since February. What has happened? A continuation in the genocide and a continual funding of said genocide. They aren't trying to get a deal and a ceasefire deal done. In contrast to Harris, Stein has consistently condemned Israel's assault on Gaza and referred to it as a genocide. Stein's campaign website calls for an immediate ceasefire, an end to the blockade of Gaza, and an end to all military aid to Israel. It also calls for sanctions on the country and an end to a long-standing United States practice of vetoing UN Security Council resolutions targeting its human rights abuses. During the primaries, when Joe Biden was still the Democratic nominee, activists in Michigan called on voters to send the president a message by marking their ballots uncommitted. More than 500,000 people voted uncommitted, unexpectedly netting the campaign a number of delegates at this summer's Democratic National Convention. The uncommitted movement was able to hold a panel in Chicago during the DNC where they discussed their push for the arms embargo on Israel. However, the request to get a speaker on the convention floor was denied, a move that was widely criticized by many, including some Democratic lawmakers, giving her opportunities to earn votes.
To be better.
It's just annoying when you literally are telling somebody like how to get votes and they're just like, now your vote doesn't matter.
Nah. I guess you don't care about the Muslim vote. Obviously. Because you'd change something about what you're fucking doing if you cared. I guess you don't care about beating Trump that bad.
I would
just let it fucking ride, dude. Let it fucking ride. See what happens. Then blame fucking leftists afterwards. Please. Please fucking, I will laugh to no fucking end.
The refusal by the Democrats and the Kamala Harris campaign to have a Palestine-American speaker address the DNC was just the latest misstep by a party that, even when it recognizes its need for progress, Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian voters just can't bring itself to confront its own devaluation of Palestinian lives, especially in Gaza. The DNC rejection sparked further debate about whether Palestine activists should bother engaging with the Democratic Party at all. You shouldn't.
Fucking snakes, dude.
And they might, even if she does, at this point, even if she does attempt to backstep and say that she will do all these things, I believe it to be a politician promise.
Fucking coddling those Biden balls.
Collecting a fucking paycheck and not doing anything to help.
Coddling those Biden balls.
Oh, God, that makes me think of Big Daddy. You want those old,
wrinkly balls? Damn.
What's his 5-year plan? Not to die?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That really is Biden's 5-year plan.
5-year plan, Biden, not die. That's my plan too, though. That's sad.
That's Trump's plan too. Millennials and Gen Z just don't want any part of this shit anymore. They watch their parents slave away for corporations that cared less.
Their whole fucking lives. And then what? Lose their pensions in the 2008 financial crisis?
Yeah, because
lose their 401ks? Lose their retirement plan completely?
The retirement age go up. Like, these past few months have been very eye-opening for me. Not just like on a level of like how the healthcare system and everything was like set up against you, but it also gives me a more of an insight on why my dad was the way he was when we were younger. I stand by, I don't think the opioid crisis was introducing opioids. I think the opioid crisis was taking them away and deciding nobody can have them unless they're literally dying. Or what about the people that
you have to have
feel
cancer
like
to get fucking opioids now.
And what if I do?
You'd be dying.
What if I do have cancer?
They don't care. They don't care whether we die or live. They don't give a fuck. Because they're the only game in town. That's why.
And who cares if a poor person dies? I mean, there's other poor people that can't, afford to go to another country.
There's 400 poor people willing to replace us in a moment.
Yeah.
So who the fuck cares about us?
Right. And I'm not trying to say like I personally deserve any type of special treatment, but I think anyone who's attempting to get help deserves help. And I'm at that point trying to get help. I can't get the help I need. I keep pushing for it.
You're making communists every day.
During a Q&A session at the aforementioned ADC conference, Renea Masri, a longtime Palestinian anti-war activist and voter in the swing state of North Carolina, questioned Georgia State Representative Ruwa Roman, who was expected to give Uncommitted's planned DNC speech, about her support for Harris and criticisms of Jill Stein. Masri told MondoWise that her decision to support Stein's campaign was an easy one. During the protests that we had, and I don't think this was limited to North Carolina, we said, in November, we remember, she explained, and we meant that during the elections, we will remember those that fund the genocide. They merely changed the name from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris, but it's the same policy. So we made that promise in every protest. In November, we remember. We made the promise to our martyrs, she continued. We made the promise to our own conscience. We will not forgive the ones that fund the genocide. Amen. It's really very simple. All those individuals who are contemplating, maybe we'll vote for Kamala because Donald Trump may kill more Palestinians, they're playing mental gymnastics. If we believe that genocide is a red line, then we do not vote Democrat. It just stops there. Masri says she's found strong support for Stein within her community. The overwhelming prevailing view that I have from members of the Palestinian community and the Arab community in general is strong opposition to Harris, which is translated through the majority for support to Jill Stein and to a lesser level for support to Donald Trump. She said, "Those I know who are voting for Harris, I can count on 2 fingers, and they are voting out of fear of Trump. Everybody else in the community is openly saying Jill Stein or Donald Trump." According to the CAIR survey, 16% of Muslim voters remain undecided, and 8.3% say they probably won't vote. Ghada El-Najjar is Muslim and a Palestinian American organizer in the swing state of Georgia. She has also lost more than 100 members of her extended family as a result of Israel's ongoing assault on Gaza. During the primaries, Ghada participated in the Listen to Georgia, Leave It Blank campaign, which was inspired by the uncommitted national movement. The goal was to send a clear message to then President Biden, end U.S. support for the genocide or face potential electoral consequences. Ghada says she's still undecided on whether she will vote for Harris or Stein in November. She says she hopes Harris will adopt a new course aligned with basic human rights principles, not just through rhetoric, but with actual policy changes. Unless President-elect Kamala Harris distinguishes herself from the current administration's policy on Israel and Gaza, my approach to this election remains unchanged. I remain an uncommitted voter, she told Mondo Wise. We will continue to hold Vice President Harris to the same principles. Unequivocally oppose the genocide perpetrated by the Israeli military, halt all arms shipments to Israel, call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, end the occupation of Palestinian territories, and implement a weapons embargo. She continued, if she does not take these actions, there is little difference between her and President Biden, meaning our position as a community and our voting stance will remain the same. As a lawmaker and prosecutor, I hope that as president, Kamala Harris would refuse to use U.S. taxpayer dollars to support Israel's violations of U.S. laws. Georgia voters, like Ghada, recently launched a coalition targeting the Harris campaign with specific demands. They say they will withhold their votes for Harris and vice presidential nominee Tim Walz unless the Biden-Harris administration halts all arms shipments to Israel, demands the adoption of a permanent ceasefire, and pledges to uphold U.S. law by imposing an arms embargo on nations engaged in war crimes, including Israel. As a Palestinian American who has suffered profound personal losses in Gaza, I stand firmly against injustice and oppression, says Ghada. From now until November 5th, I will continue to engage, listen, advocate, and if necessary, remain uncommitted. You're forcing people to not vote. You're forcing people to not vote.
Kamala Harris is forcing people to the couch, I hear.
Don't be uncommitted. Vote for Jill Stein. Look at her policies. We've done a cover on some of them. She has a lot of amazing policies that basically puts the American people first. She has a lot of policies putting the world itself first above her making a dollar. She wants us to have universal health care. She wants all of us to have universal education, to have free lunches for our kids at school, to be able to live your lives without being so terrified of if you can afford for your car to break down.
Or your insurance to let go and your registration be canceled.
Or what happens when you lose your job and you lose your insurance altogether. Jill Stein wants to help you. She wants to protect you. She wants to protect the people of Gaza. She understands cruelty to humans and how it's not acceptable and how it should end. Put people first.
All anybody wants is fucking austerity for the poor. Rugged individualism for the fucking poor. Socialism for the rich.
Do you have any idea what it's like not knowing if your electric will get shut off? Where your next meal's going to come from?
How are you going to feed your kids?
You get hurt, can you afford to go to a doctor? Because you don't have insurance because you lost your job. Like, that's the thing. Like, do you not understand what it's like? Kids can start working now. That's why Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas has several lawsuits against her about child labor and children dying on the job because you're sending 13-year-olds to work equipment you don't let under 18 work with. But Huckabee Sanders decided, well, let's just go right back and let that all happen. It's all right. It's just fine. They're just kids that's going to die. We're just going to get rid of the poor ones. We want the ones that can survive and work for the rest of their lives. We need that 45, 50 years of work.
They don't have shit on her. They don't actually attack her on the actual facts.
I don't like Kamala Harris.
It's easy to attack Kamala on the actual facts. You just expose your own fucking bullshit. That's why the Republicans don't do it.
True, because they're still wanting to implement what she's doing just behind your back. Well, actually, in front of your face and more intense.